Walmart is unique as it has just recently started to operate like a supermarket. This particular department or grocery store within Walmart has been labeled the Supercenter. The Walmart inside of Scarborough Town Center is a prime location for both mixed income persons and different ethnic groups. Despite the previous layout of the interior, it has been renovated to offer a large variety of different foods. We chose to investigate the cereal aisle based on dry produce within the supermarket tour. We were curious as to how the aisle would be portrayed. Our objective was to observe how different types of cereal were sorted, placed, and marketed. The cereal section was not as large as some other aisles, but we wanted to observe how shelf placement occurs within small spaces. From the reading, it was surprising to see how products are comprised of many genetically modified corn and soy. These two ingredients are cheap to produce and transform, while the final product is sold for a higher margin. Genetically modified organisms have a negative impact on local biodiversity, where often it is both harmful to the workers and the environment. Before we visited, we expected the food products to be isolated from the department store goods. We also expected for the aisles to be much smaller with less variety. We expected for the aisles to be neat and clean to not be repulsive to the consumers. We expected the entire aisle to be just of one product, which is cereal in this case, and we expected to find an aisle easily. The cereals were sorted into three different categories: adult, family, and children. Each category took up a portion of the aisle. Adults took up 50%, kids took up 25%, and the last 25% belonged to family. The cereal were all sorted by color, and the most alluring color were used for kids' cereal. Health cereal and cereal toppings had really little shelf space. Many other items around the aisle fall under the breakfast food category. Things like instant coffee, tea, syrup, and oatmeal, as well as other breakfast foods. A majority of these goods are also processed food. Most of these items comprise of genetically modified corn and soy as well, with the exception of coffee and tea. Popular brands such as Cheerios and their spin-off products took up the entire aisle base. Specific brands occupied every shelf level and spread very widely. Generic brands and health food cereals had very little space. Primarily, three brands trumped the entire aisle: General Mills, Kellogg's, and Great Value. There are a mixture of branding goods with the complementary generic brand goods. Sub-brands like Nature's Path had very little shelf space. Generic cereals had a moderate amount of space, perhaps because Walmart owns them. There are a good amount of use of licensed characters and mascots to promote children's cereals. These cereals typically feature bright colors and large text. They are primarily orange, red, and yellow. There are also prizes and giveaways to attract children. These cereal also feature games on their box such as mazes. Music was played loud enough to not be disturbing but also present. The genre ranged from popular music to alternative rock. Aisles were unkept and certain portions were completely empty. Food traffic within the aisle was moderate and other aisles such as produce were much more active. The information provided in the supermarket tour reflects heavily on our ideas of the cereal aisle. The use of various tactics to manipulate and attract potential customers and their families are clear if examined closely. The shelving space and competition that lies behind it is also evident, as only major cereal brands in regular size packaging occupy the center rows and are at eye level, while less popular brands lies on the outskirts. Our original idea was that supermarkets were just institutions for food purchasing. Our visit reinforced the idea of corporate power on consumer behavior. Food is no longer being treated as a basic need, but as an item that is marketable to garner profit. Here are our takeaways. Be aware of the tactics used by companies to persuade decisions. Focus on the surrounding elements as well as the aisle itself, and how they relate to one another. When shopping, create a list and stick to it to avoid impulse purchases. Smaller shops do not use the same tactics as larger chains and are therefore less manipulative. Various ploys are used to manipulate the customer's decisions. Products on the bottom shelves are more accessible for children, therefore they appeal to them. Products on the lower shelf are either more expensive or the same price when compared to the rest of the section. Items on the top and harder to reach shelves usually comprise of healthier choices. Products that are fragile are usually placed on higher shelves out of reach of children. Mascots are often and usually changed depending on what is appealing to the current demographics. The unethical treatment of workers who tend to mass produce these corns and soy. Genetically modified organisms allow for cheaper foods, but they are more unhealthy. Balancing the cost between health and affordability is very hard. Lower income persons are more prone to food illnesses because of their limited choice. Only 3 notable major brands occupy most of the shelves. Cereal companies utilize the colors red, orange, and red to entice hunger. Cereals that are more unhealthy are typically placed on eye level to lower shelves to become more accessible and noticeable to the customer. Shopping while hungry encourages customers to purchase unnecessary foods. Stronger consideration will be placed on the ingredients used in cereal. Shopping with children will increase the likelihood of purchasing a healthy cereal. Healthier options are often not just harder to find but also more expensive. Consideration of shopping at more locally sourced options will be weighted more. Not all stores are the same and variety does matter.